Hi guys, welcome to the Music B&B. I'm 315, and today I'm joined by Evin Gibson, who actually I have listened to before. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. Yes.
Yeah, it was on a single called "Come Back Around." It was like 3 tracks or something EP.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just having a look because I was like, this name sounds really familiar. And it was back in July when I listened to it amongst some other videos. I was kind of just starting out, and yeah, you were one of the artists, so it was nice to have you back. And yeah, we'll dive into a bit about you, and then we'll also dive into a bit about this album. Which I wasn't expecting when I listened to for it to be so festive, but it was, which was brilliant. It really got me in the mood. So, would you be able to give me and those who are watching a bit of background about yourself?
I'm a singer, writer. I've been doing this for a very long time. I basically do R&B, pop music, and whatever, basically. I've released a few CDs, well, albums, with Sands Entertainment now, and this latest project is a holiday album.
Mm. Yeah, holiday albums really. So, what inspired you to do a holiday album? Were you asked to do it? Was it a challenge given to you, or did you have something lined up already?
Well, I did an event. I appeared on one of my friends, the Blairisms event. The broadcast it had like people like Kenny Lattimore and quite a few other notable R&B performers, and I was a part of it. And I had to write. I decided to write a song at the last minute for the event, and it was special night. And I got with my friend Ian Knight, and we made the song. And I was like, I want to perform it here. And then I was like, let's go record it. So we recorded it, and then that year we didn't release the album, but the following year I was like, oh, I have this song. Let's just make it a thing, you know. So that's basically that was the inspiration behind it. It was just kind
Nice.
of like,
I
yeah.
do want to go into it a bit more, but I think I want to do a bit more background on you first, and then dive into the album in a bit more depth. But I mean, that's a good place to start, really, with what got you into it. What first got you into music? Why R&B and soul music in particular?
Well, as a kid growing up in South Carolina, we always listened to music. My parents would always have music playing, and we were from the church, of course, and gospel music, of course, inspires. And me and my sisters and I, we got together and we formed a group under the direction of my mom, and we would always hear like the great songs and all that stuff. And I remember listening to some of these songs and just taking the instrumentals and start making my own versions of the songs because I was like, oh well, it doesn't sound bad, and I would let some friends hear it and stuff like that. And it was a thing that kept going on for years. And you know, just music was always really just my outlet as well because so much stuff goes on around when you're young and you try to process it,
Yeah.
and so it kind of get away from everything that was going on and kind of dive into music, which felt good. So
Nice. Yeah, I do. Listening to your style, I feel some kind of maybe late 90s, early 2000s R&B, but mixed with that gospel vibe. Am I in the ballpark of kind of where your main influences were? Was it around that time?
um, I, um a little further back, but
Oh,
this targeted for that era actually. A lot of the stuff I've been doing have been targeted towards that era because it's one of my favorite eras actually.
right.
So
No, right.
definitely.
Yeah. I would say I was only a little boy when it was probably popular. It wasn't as popular in England, but the definitely the R&B kind of the slow R&B vibe was definitely there growing up around me. How would you describe the music that you typically create, other than saying R&B and soul? What what's kind of special about it and different in terms of its creation?
Well, I think for my music is that one, I like my music to be clean. So I like the balance of what I do, the kind of actually appeal to all different types of music. And I like the mixture of that. But I do feel like it's just uh, it's kind of a it has a unique flavor to it. I think I feel like I'm a little different, but I have my own little sound, and I think that adds a little something different to it.
Yeah, I think it's very much uniquely you. the sound
Yeah,
I hear. It doesn't sound like anyone else too much that I've heard. I can hear the inspiration, but I'm not
yeah.
saying, oh, that's just that artist. You know, you've definitely got you in there, which is nice. You've got a voice. Um,
Thank.
what's your creative process like when it comes to making things? Is it different? I know you were talking about you have the spur of the moment thing when creating one of the Christmas songs. Is it always like that? Are there some things that take a long time to make?
I do find that I work different on different projects. Most often, it's a thing that just hits you, and you're like, oh, let me make a song like that. Or if I know that I have to do a project and I have to do it by a certain time, I just kind of like just I do this a lot, kind of like just map it out in my head
Yeah.
and kind of, oh, I'm going to do this by then, and then I'll just kind of, but it does take away from the creative process sometimes when you have the pressure of knowing that you have to be done by a certain time to do stuff. But sometimes I actually work better. This is one of those instances where I work better under the pressure because
Right.
I was like, I'm going to do it. So that's that's really how I work actually.
Oh, really good. Do you start with music or do you start with lyrics? Or is it a bit both?
A bit both, yeah.
Yeah.
Most I prefer to start with lyrics, but
Yeah.
music is something that always drives it, brings other lyrics out of it. Actually, when you hear the music, you're like, oh, okay, I can do this. I think, and on this latest album, there's a mixture of both. Some of the songs started with music, and some of the songs started with lyrics. So,
Very
um,
nice. If
so
you had to make a guess from looking at my background, what do you think? Do I start with lyrics or do I start with music?
I'm gonna say,
Yeah, it is mainly
oh,
music. There's only a few times where something's popped in my head. I'm driving, then I'm like, I've got to get home and record this. But other than that, yeah, it mainly starts with music.
yeah,
So we spoke a bit about the background for this album. Started last year, is that right? Were you saying?
um, well, in all honesty, after I did that performance last year, I didn't think anything else about a holiday album at all. So the
Right,
process it was not in the making. It was just, oh, that was that. That's it. But as the holiday season neared, a few weeks before the release of it, I decided, oh, let's do an album. So it was actually like I recorded this record in maybe two weeks. Um,
okay.
4 weeks, but that's a complete process from making the music to writing the lyrics to recording. 2 weeks top
Wow.
was what.
That's a very quick turnaround there, and I'm kind of glad you said that because I know you said you kind of had the initial thing last year. I couldn't imagine doing that, like starting a whole year ago and thinking about Christmas for a whole year. That would have been like what Santa probably does for a whole year. So that's going to be very difficult. So yeah, nearing the holiday season probably be better in creating a Christmas album. Um, so who would be interested in this album? Who is it for? I usually ask that question. That's a really standard question, but I bet you could give me a really good answer for that, to be honest.
I mean, all honesty, I want to feel like, and that was one of the things about Glistening in the Snow. I wanted this album to include everybody. If you notice, really, it's layers to this album. There's that hip hop sound a little bit. There's the R&B. There's the pop. There's a little gospel. There's a little jazz. So because I feel like the holidays should include everybody. You
Yeah,
know, regardless of what you believe or what you celebrate, this the holidays should include everybody. So I kind of wanted that to be like the underlying, theme of the record. And when I started out, I was like, okay, this is going in a great direction. And even getting towards the end, I was like, oh, it's missing this one particular type of song. And so I wanted to appeal to everybody, and I also wanted to keep even the songs that I did that were like R&B. I wanted to keep it in the pocket so that it could cross still could be like, oh, you know what, this is a nice groove. It's something I could play.
yeah.
So
Oh,
or
lovely.
yeah,
It's Yeah, I should have really mentioned it at the start that the album's called Glistening in the Snow, but when it goes onto podcast, I do a little bit beforehand anyway that introduces it, so I do apologize for that. It's called Glistening in the Snow, and you should really check it out because it's amazing. And what you were just saying about it, including everyone, I felt that. I listened to it yesterday, and it got me in the spirit, and I felt that kind of inclusivity throughout. It was very much like that. You know, you started with Holiday Party, which was just like, let's get everyone in the mood. Then you got Get in the Spirit, you know, so it's really trying to invite everyone to get involved in this. You've got some really lovely quiet numbers like Special Night, which I think is beautiful. You've got a feature from Ashira. I hope I'm saying is it Ashira? Is that the name? Ashira Bosley. You've got her featured in it twice. A Good Friend.
Yeah, she is, and she was actually one of those people who came through like impromptu at the last minute as well.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah,
mean,
so
it
she definitely supplies some kind of something to the vocals anyway in like Call of Response on Holiday Party. I feel that's quite nice. Yeah.
yeah, it's very she's very talented, and that's another thing about this record that I really thoroughly enjoyed. I got to work with a lot of peers or people who I've known for many years. And so it was so, I think it was probably one of the better processes that I've had with working on a record
Yeah.
because these are people who I've known for a long time and we hadn't done work together for a minute. So it was so great to have them, you know.
Yeah. And when you're working on something that's Christmassy anyway, you just feel good. I think your topics that you're singing about are good. You know, it's all a very nice feeling thing anyway. So to do with that friends must have been quite special. Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's a favorite song from this album, or maybe two that you had to pick, say someone said, right, you got to cut out everything else. It's just going to be a single. What would it be? What would the maybe one or two songs be from that?
That is actually the hardest part. I wouldn't even know. Because like each one is dear to me for different reasons and at different times. I mean, like one better than the other. Um, I don't think I even play one more than the other. I just play it through mostly. And I also normally go by reaction of what people say as well.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a favorite song because me, I can't just look at the songs. I also have to think of the experiences that went into making them. I know that's
Yeah.
weird.
It's
It's
no,
like,
it's so much different as a listener because you don't get all that background and the context of the song and how it felt to make it and what you were doing at the time. You get none of that. You just get the end product, don't you?
yeah,
So if I had to choose two, Holiday Spirit and Special Night, I thought stood out to me. I don't know if others have said that as well to you, but not Holiday Spirit, sorry, Holiday Party and Special Night, two really,
yeah.
really nice ones. I thought it opened so well. And the Special Night was just beautiful. And I think you probably recognize that because you did an acoustic version of it on the end
Yeah.
as well, didn't you?
Well, the acoustic version came through because that was the version we actually used that year before. So
Right.
for the Blairism show, which was cool, and then I linked with when I started doing the process again. That's when I linked to do the other version of it, the newer version. But I couldn't do the project without doing the acoustic version on there. So because it was such a cool song. I will say that's one of the things I thoroughly enjoyed about this record because the record went out and I got feedback from different people of songs they liked more, and it was always different songs, So
Ah.
like, Special Night, so many people said Special Night, and then so many people said Get in the Spirit. So many people said Holiday Party. So I love that. I absolutely loved it, and I expected that because it's an eclectic album.
Yeah,
Um,
it's got that inclusivity, so it kind of tailors to anyone, and everyone's going to have a different opinion on it, no matter what. So yeah, if you could give people a reason to listen to this, maybe summed up in one sentence, what would it be? What makes it unique and stand out from other Christmas albums?
This album is a holiday album without the typical holiday sound, but with the same holiday feeling of warmth and love. And I
Mm.
think that's what makes it stand out because everybody gets tired of the same songs all year long. And then this is more, it's more now of what what people went through. Special Night, especially, and I'm glad you brought up that song, because one thing I didn't mention was that when that song was written, it was during the pandemic, and we all know that was such a hard time,
Yeah.
and we all were through it. And even the performance of it was filmed. We had to film it, so it's that during that time, and even in the lyrics when we wrote the song, me and Dwayne Fonville Jr. when we wrote the song, it was in the lyrics. One of my favorite part of the lyrics is when it says, "Let's celebrate because we're still here together." And during that time, that meant so much, because we were losing people, and there was, everybody was feeling, a way about not being with each other, and it was like, let's celebrate because we're still here together. At least we have that we're still here together. And every time I hear that lyric, I'm like, it reminds me of that experience, and so that makes me really feel, like touching people from that, So
That's brilliant. I think music, especially during the pandemic, for me and for others, did keep us going. And I can even think back now, there were like albums and songs that were just like, they're going to be embedded in my life forever and remind me of that hard time, but
yeah,
also maybe cheer me up as well. Like a lot of what I listened to was hopeful stuff. And, that's a hopeful song. I mean, Christmas is always a hopeful time, isn't it? And a loving time. So, um, have you ever performed your music? I think you've already spoken about you were performing it in the previous year, the Christmas stuff. Have you performed them yet? Any of these?
no, actually, I do. I just that time with that the Blairism show. I haven't scheduled anything, any performances. Oh no, I actually do. I'm doing one with Fox News on Thursday
Oh,
morning. I'm performing.
wow.
I do special night acoustic version, actually. I think
Nice.
yeah, I think I'm gonna do
That's
that.
incredible. Wow. Are you nervous? Excited? Both.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I pick the right song, and pick the right vibe, and right look, and all that stuff, so that people can really get an idea of me and this record, and and also feel the holiday spirit. So and I think we'll have that together for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I wouldn't worry about picking the right look because you have such character. You are you, and you bring that to the table. You don't need to worry about your voice. I am envious, and I'm sure loads and loads of other people are envious of your voice. It's majestic. It's beautiful. Yeah. So jealousy is probably when you watch my review, jealousy is the main theme. No, it's not.
Oh, oh, don't be jealous. No, no, no. We all have.
There's no envy. I'm amazed. I'm just blown away by it. It's beautiful. It amazes me what other humans can do. Yeah. So this is one that you could really pull out of the bag every year, isn't it? You get towards the holiday season, you can just pull out some of these songs and play them, and people will love them.
Absolutely. I do feel that, and I hope that. I really do. I hope this record goes every holiday. A couple of songs I feel like can be played outside of the holiday, like no greater gift.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
songs that just has this it's just a strong love song about somebody who didn't get what they want during the holiday, who can't afford to do those things during the holiday.
Yeah.
And that was produced by African G. And yeah, I think that's a good one. I don't have much money, so that's what it says. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, like Valentine's Day. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. Birthdays, anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
More so, yeah, absolutely. I know I'm gonna play it on the holidays, and it's rare that you get an album that you do, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna play my record, or something like that. But honestly, I got into the holiday spirit from this record, because it's not too in your face holiday, like Need Love all year long. It's just about somebody who that's just for the lonely people during the holiday. It's just talking about they want to feel love, and that was
Yeah.
by Tiffany Ivy, another African G, and that was great working with her too. She's an awesome talent, and I mean, and then All Is Well. but all is well. I feel like it's one of those songs that I feel like is I don't know, it's so laid back and it's so smooth. It reminds me of like I thought about the birth of
The
Christ and all.
saxophone for me, sorry, the
Yeah,
saxophone is just incredible.
Black Freiburg is amazing. We wrote and did that song maybe in maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours or so. And we I sat there for went through the whole from production from start to finish. It only took us a couple hours to do. And
Wow.
yeah, and I just wanted to be stripped down, and I wanted to feel. I was like, you gotta put. He plays sax, and I was like, there's no way we can do this record without you putting sax.
Oh, it's so nice. I feel overall, I felt warm, but overall, I felt calm. Not just in that song, but throughout the album.
Yeah,
But I mean, you give me a saxophone, and I'm just gonna chill out. It's amazing. Yeah,
it is.
the whole project is lovely, and I couldn't recommend it more to people during this
Thank you.
time of year, or like you said, during the year, especially if anything stands out to you. Um, so this is an independent artist show. I do try and like cater to all artists, no matter what stage in their careers they're at. And I usually tend to ask this question because a lot of artists do want to know, how do you feel the internet has impacted your approach to being an artist? And what would you say is the best way to promote yourself in a technological world that's oversaturated? Because it is.
It is, yeah. That's a very good question. I think a lot of artists, especially people who were around before that era, are finding it hard to navigate
Mm,
because it's such a different thing. Like, prior to this, you can sell CDs, you can do you know, you have to fight to get your stuff on radio and all this other stuff as well. And then people also um, they stay on the thing that's popular versus being able to go and do their own stuff. So you have to penetrate these minds of people, the minds and ears of people who can listen to whatever they want to, so I think it's just for me, it's just finding a good your your area of what works for you, and that's something even I'm still trying to find in this particular era.
yeah.
Finding what works for you and finding how to get people to really appreciate the work you do, and I think it's just trial and error actually. But the great part about it is that there's no boundaries to it really. Um, because there are great positive things to it. There's no boundaries. Like it doesn't have to be done a certain way.
Yeah.
So,
We're seeing
back,
so many new artists coming from SoundCloud or Bandcamp, and all these people that would have never been heard now coming up. And like you said, it's trial and error. It's a lot of learning, and it's hard to get attention.
um,
It's a battle for attention these days. To
yeah,
hold someone's attention for a while is hard.
but the great part about it is that it's not about trying to get everybody's attention. It's just trying to find the people who attach and identify with what you do.
Mm.
And once you get them, they'll support you. I've learned that, and I see that, and I'm so happy that I have people supporting what I do. It's just phenomenal, and I'm just so blessed in that respect. That's why I do things like this particular record, because I want to give them the feeling. Hopefully it can convey a bit of the feeling that I really feel for what they have done to me, have given to me. Because honestly, in this thing, independent artists and music, it's not a very confident place all the time to be in.
No.
It's not a very confident work.
But you're talking about being there in an emotional sense, which I think
Yes.
is important. And there are a lot of artists out there who create a lot of music that it falls flat because it has no emotion behind it. And when you're making things that are from the heart that you believe in, you can feel that in the music, and it's very easy to identify with someone when you can feel how they feel and empathize with them. And you can feel that in this music, and this is a very positive album, but you can feel that warmth and care and love in every detail. Even though it was made over 2 weeks, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's well thought through, like a lot of time has been taken to make it, you know, and that's good. That's a really good thing. So connecting with people is probably what you're trying to say overall, you think?
Yeah, just the connection with people, and man, once you make people feel good, because in these days and times, let's be honest, it's hard to, just get that, just this common uh, feeling of happiness or joy from other people, you know. So me being able to do that or have the energy to do that, I love that. I love being able to own that, and being able to share it, and hopefully help somebody else see that, and being able and help them find their way of sharing that great energy. So yeah, everything you described about this record, I feel so really great right now, because everything you have described about this record is exactly what I wanted this record to be. I didn't want it to be no, and I mean, this is an all original, all original songs, no cover songs,
Oh
no,
yeah.
no. This is 100% authentic holiday music, and that's scary within itself, because people want to hear they want to hear those standards in order to know that it's a holiday record. So I have to create this environment all from scratch. Hey, this is um, but honestly, I feel like this is a really well written record. I think writing on this record was just me, Dwayne Fonville. I wrote every song, but I had co-writers on a couple, which Dwayne Fonville Jr. and Tiffany Ivy. I think those are the only other writers I had on this particular project. But basically, for the most part, I wrote every song and co-wrote with everyone else on a couple. But it was, I really feel like this is really cool. And some of these songs are written like the same day they were recorded. So that effect
I love that
was
though. That's the magic though, when it's on the same day and it just flows. So one last question for you. What is next for you? Is it an Easter album? No, joking. Although
I
I
did
wouldn't be surprised. That'd be quite cool, actually.
what, nobody's done it before, right? Nobody's doing it, so maybe I
No?
don't know. No, actually, I just wrote a film actually, and called Bloodline of the Jewel, and we just had a private screening for it last week. So I'm definitely going to write another movie, but I do have there. This holiday album was going to have a New Year's song on it, because I wanted it to be for that entire season from Thanksgiving to New Year's. So we didn't put it on there. But I think I'm going to release that as a single next, and then next year I'm going to do another album that's just going to be a commercial album next year, and write another movie, do more shows, and go out. And
I love how casual you are about that. Just write another movie, do some shows. Yeah,
I mean,
whatever. It's not a big deal.
I mean, I'm here. I'm a creative person. I like to just do stuff to get it out, and try to make it quality. Definitely quality. So that's what I'm looking to do. So nothing to it.
Wow, amazing. Well, thank you for coming on. If you haven't listened to Glistening in the Snow, make sure you do. It's linked in the description down below. And goodbye, I guess.
Oh my word.